welcome back to the podcast. Glad to have you here, and glad to have my guest today, Joey Kimbrough, a wonderful man doing some great work in the financial world, and come to find out some mindset stuff as well currently. So appreciate you being here and having a conversation with me and sharing your shit, Joey.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you having me here. Thanks for the kind words, dude. Yeah, it's been a journey. I'll be 56. I think it is next week. So, I've been out of the workforce for about, as we said before we got started, since I was 49. I've been blessed. And I don't know if, I would call what I do in the finance world. I guess that's fair enough to say. I look at a lot of people's credit reports, and, I was blessed here in our home state of Indiana to have 4 auto repair centers, which ultimately were dealerships as well. So I got to see a lot of people's credit profiles come across the desk. And then when this little event happened in 2020, I was shutting down those operations, rightfully so, as the rest of the world did as well. But I sold everything off at that point, chalked it up to me retiring, and then got the bug to reinvigorate that credit life again, to say, hey, I've seen 1,000 of these cross my desk. What can I do to, help other people in this realm? So what I did ultimately is I went and filed my first case. If you looked up Kimbrough v. Snap-on in the Southern District of Indiana, you'll find me there, and that's where I won my very first case that I filed. I won $34,500 to be specific, and I went from a 660 credit score to an 839 overnight whenever the inaccuracies were taken off. So I was kind of hooked there, right? From a business sense, I look at things and I say, hey, how can we monetize these things? Are these things helping out other people? So I just kind of went through a few different iterations, and there was a young man here in my community, a military vet named Tim Branyan, same court, Indiana, Southern District. You can look that up, Branyan v. Experian et al. And you'll see the same thing. So you'll see where I was threatened to stay out of the court because I was literally filing stuff for him. And then I finally said, hey, Tim, you're going to have to, file the shit. I'll be creating it. They'll know it. They can't do shit about it. So we sued, I think he had 10 different defendants, including the United States, because like I said, he was a veteran. And I think you'll probably relate to this part of it, Steve. He went on 2 deployments. He was in the Air Force. He got 2 Silver Stars, all of those things. But while he went over there, DFAS, Department of Finance Accounting Services, I'm sure you're familiar with them.
Yeah.
They said, his commanding officer said, Tim, give us your credit card while you're deployed. We'll take care of everything for you, kind of stuff. We're not going to pay your bills for you, but we'll pay the bills. And they missed a $233. So if you look it up, that's what the whole case was about. $233 the United States didn't pay, and it went into collections and wrecked his credit essentially. So tapped me in, and I said, oh, fuck this. We're going to do this. So anyway, the United States came barking, we don't have billables. You better watch out, Mr. Branyan. All of those things our great country will do, and in the Department of Justice and specifically. So we turned up the heat. They were the last ones to get out. Make a long story short, we won with every defendant in there, including the United States. And you got to define what win means to you. If it's getting a check and getting your credit life back, whatever. So all of those things were good. His case was super easy to do. There was a magistrate in Indianapolis named Tim Baker, who was overseeing the discovery process. And I got to sit in on a couple of hearings. They didn't know I was in there, but I'm in Tim's office, and we got to make these guys fall in love with you. And it was easy to do, right? He's a veteran. He's won these accommodations. So Tim Baker, the magistrate, kind of brought that up. Mr. Branyan, were you in the military? Yes, sir, Your Honor. I was in the United States Air Force. Did you get honorably discharged, Mr. Branyan? Yes, sir, I did. Any commendations, Mr. Branyan? Yes, I had 2 silver stars while deployed, sir. You know, all of these things, they're falling in love. And these attorneys on the line, 8 of them, are hearing this whole fucking love fest go on between a magistrate and a veteran retiree. You know, to this day, Tim's only like 36 years old, so he's not, you know, aged to our level, let's call it. But when that phone call stopped, the phone rang and he settled with 2 people right then and there, JP Morgan and Equifax. So it's like when you're getting into these things, and we can expand on that or whatever, with what I do, you know, I find that, you know, I build evidence if I'm in that world. I present the evidence. They tell me to pound sand. You know, they verified stuff. 15 USC 1681 is the law that I'm referring to. It's called the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So if you look anything up there are any inaccuracies, Congress wrote that, and it clearly states must be maximum accuracy. Must means mandatory. There's no discretion at the court. Maximum accuracy, the way I do it, it's not a secret, is I pit the 3 bureaus against each other, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Invariably, American Express, I'll pick on them for a minute. They're going to have a different date of opening on those 3. They're going to have a different high credit limit on those 3. They're going to have a different date of last payment on those 3, whatever. There's 9 different variables that I can pick from. Anything's different across those 3, that's not maximum accuracy. That's where I argue it from. So, you know, to me, it makes sense. And when I teach this, and I have 3 cohorts going right now. I tell my people, the 3 things I want for you. 1 is I want you to get every penny back you gave me. 2 is I want you to have the highest credit score, hopefully above 800, that you've ever had in your life. And I want you to learn a skill set that is going to serve you and your family for the rest of your days on this earth. And so far, we're hitting it out of the park on all 3 of these. And there was a 4th one with one of my first people that went through. You may have seen him, Sonny. Sonny is a police officer now retired from Tampa, Florida. That thank God he was the first one to go through, because if anybody's going to sniff out bullshit, for me, you would hope it's a retired police officer. But Sonny came through, and we found, talking to him and negotiating with the opposing counsel, that we were able to get a lot of his debt removed too as well. So the way that I do it is there's a couple of disputes, and then I go out and I prove actual damages, right? I have you apply for credit. You get denied. The denial letter is called an adverse action letter. The adverse action letter comes across and says, you know, Steve, your shit was denied. We pulled Experian, and you have high utilization rates, or you have high late payments, whatever those things are. When they match whatever it is you were disputing, ding, 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 a win. So in Sonny's case, he went out. I had him apply for a car or whatever it was, and he did. He applied for a Lexus at Tampa Lexus, and he was denied a $65,000 car. Now he has actual damages. Yeah. So I told you. Then I told you again, you forgot, you failed to fix or delete, which is the only 2 options you have in the law: fix, delete. That's it. And then now I've been damaged after telling you. So then I give you a 3rd option, a notice of intent to sue. You know, so he filed a notice of intent to sue and says, look, I've told you, here's the date it was signed for by your agent. So building the evidence, I'm just crazy anal about that. You know, we're going to build it. We're going to serve it. We're going to have them sign for it. We're going to do all these things so they can't squiggle out of it like, you know, they want to do. So anyway, after you've established damages, they don't respond then. You know, it's kind of biblical, like we were talking earlier. It's like, look, I'm going to give my brother 3 opportunities, you know, because we should. Yeah, you shouldn't go straight from 0 to sue somebody's ass overnight, which is what most people want to do. So before we do anything, file anything, we're going to give our brother 3 opportunities. And then, of course, as we know, they failed to do so and perform. And boom, you file a federal case. And the way to win that is, as soon as they file in, they being the opposing counsel, pick up the phone. That's the part most people don't want to do. I don't want to talk to an attorney. I do. I want to talk to him because I know what I'm saying is the truth. Mm-hmm. You know, now I'm going to have to hear meritless, frivolous, you're an asshole, all of those things. I get it. And then I'm going to giggle and say, do you want me to send you a Rule 408 settlement demand? Because that is the rule here in India. It's everywhere. Rule 408 mean it's inadmissible, and I can tell you anything I want to tell you in that, and it can't be used against us. It's settlement communication. It's that's all it is. So they're always going to say yes, send me one. So if I send them one that that makes sense, right? $2,000, let's say. Clear off my stuff, fix the things that I told you to fix before. Here they are on my 408. Get those things cleared off. Send me a couple grand because you've been mean to me. And then, we'll be friends. And, you can take it anywhere from there to 5K and be pretty successful. I've found, much over that, you're starting to build a case for the opposing counsel's billables because that's what they want. They want the billables.
Right.
So if you're going nuts like some people do, I want a black card, I want $10 million, all of those things, they're going to pay that guy $100,000 to bury you for the next 2 years.
Right.
Why would they pay you 10 million when they can pay him $100,000 to run you in circles and, all of that stuff. So, I come at it from a different spot. What do you want? What's the why? If your why is I want my credit shit fixed, bingo, you're with the right guy. If your why is, can you teach me everything you know about credit and keeping, so I hit 850 last November. And that's not boasting or bragging. That's me saying I've looked at thousands of credit profiles. I've never seen an 850. And then when I hit that unicorn, I was like, oh my God, I sent it to Brandon. He posted some stuff. So hitting that level told me it was reality. And then I've seen so many other people after me that have hit 800 plus. But when you get there, I know this from being a dealer, is I'm not going to let you out of my lobby if you're an 800 because I have so many other credit options for you. And I'm talking specifically to auto dealerships. I'm not letting you out of the fucking lobby. No, you're not going anywhere because I know there's so many options. It's good for you and it's great for me to make money off of. Now, subprime 660 and below is where most people are at. Now there's options there as well, but it's so expensive, man. In our state, it's 29.99 or 30%, 29.99 is what they always offer. So anyway,
Ridiculous.
I'm babbling a little bit about what it is that I do and what I enjoy and all of that stuff. But, I've had some extreme success. I love it. I truly do. I love talking about this stuff. I do a lot of consults. I've cut myself off now at 3 every week, to just talk shop about stuff. And, a lot of times I'm on podcasts and stuff and they'll hear me talk and they'll see my results and all of that stuff. And of course, people reach out for the credit stuff or just because they're being sued. That's the funniest thing when people will reach out and they're being sued by Capital One for $1,300. Like, bro, just get in there and get your nose bloodied up. But you've probably read those things, Steve, where people would literally rather die than get in front of people and speak. You can take that to the next level if you talk about being in the court, which is an environment that's crazy to most people. Adversarial, you're out of your, oh my God, this isn't where I belong. There's somebody with a black dress over there. There's other people telling you you're an asshole. When you embrace that and you really take on that defendant's role and you learn about that. I just did a video recently and I shared it with a lot of people showing me how to get a case dismissed that was coming against me. It was from my dealership days. They brought in and tried to perfect a foreign lien from the state of California, and I got it dismissed, boom, like that. So, and that's what I've found there is the bar cards are so notorious for being able to paint outside the lines. And if they're dealing with their own kind, nobody cares. But then you find somebody like me that's maybe educated themselves, that knows the procedures maybe as well or better than they do, to say, oh, dude, you didn't file a fucking appearance. You didn't file according to the Indiana statute when we're talking about perfecting a foreign lien in our courts. You didn't file an affidavit from the creditor. You filed it yourself and you're not a creditor. And, I point those things out.
Right.
And you didn't act on this for 8 months. When I say I got rid of it like that was like over a year's span, but I didn't tap in for 8 months. I just let them sit there. So then I filed a 41E failure to prosecute. So when you know these things and you've educated yourself to that level, and I'm not boasting, I'm just saying that it's not hard. It's just, you just gotta, you gotta get in. You gotta, and this is the thing, most people will get served something. It says you got 21 days to answer, and then just forget about it, ignore it. And then they get a default judgment. It's like, why in the world? Why would you allow that to happen? So, people will call me up and we'll have a consult, and I'll show them kind of what's going on in their case. And thank you so much. Thank you for helping me, at least that. Or I'll point them in the direction and say, study these things. If they're 4 buckets, I see this all the time. Civil rules, Indiana trial rules, Indiana rules of evidence, professional standards of conduct to keep the attorneys in line, and the judicial canons. Those 4 buckets right there. If you know those, the judicial canons are to keep the judge in line. That's the playbook. That's the procedural component that I say this, and I'm not, again, this sounds like don't take it that it's coming from the wrong place. If you know those 4 components and you stand on your truth, you can't be beat. No
Right.
way, bro. There's no way. Now, building the stuff from a credit repair standpoint, you're taking on the plaintiff's hat. So you're building the evidence. You're the one initiating the case. It's an uphill struggle if you don't understand the merits of the case and how to build it and all of that stuff and get it in the court and properly stay there. The defendant's role, dude, I'm more jacked about the defendant's role than the plaintiff's role, because the defendant's role is strictly procedural. I'm going to beat your ass every time procedurally if you're a bar card. 100%. I'm going to, because you're going to get in and you're fucking lazy, you're arrogant, and I'm just going to annihilate you, which is exactly what happened in that instance. I wrote the order for the judge. He just signed it. So whatever I wanted is what was there, but it was all based off of truth and fact. And when you understand that about the judges in particular, not just Indiana, but federal courts or any other state for that matter, they're a trier of facts and law. That's it. Period. Hard stop, into discussion. So many people give them so much more power than they truly have. They don't. There's not a lot of discretion there. There's an appellate court for a reason. The appellate court wants to hear the abuse of discretion. That's all they want to hear, and I'm saying that lighthearted, but that's exactly right. So, if you present your facts and the law, you're going to be good. That's the easiest way to say it.
Yeah. And like I said, that's, I obviously I found you from watching you talking to somebody before. And, as you're talking about all this stuff again, it's just fascinating. Just like you enjoy, talking about it, I just find it just as enjoyable to listen to and learn myself from, because it's one of those things that nobody really fucking ever talks about.
Right.
And that's why I'm so, grateful to have the conversation with you to open this door for more people to understand that the world is, like that phrase, the world is your oyster. It's your fucking oyster if you fucking want it to be.
Right.
And what's funny, what came up when you were talking about, being uncomfortable going into that courtroom, facility, environment, people are calling you this or that. I'm just like, well, fuck, that's not any worse than being on the internet. So why do people, you see and hear worse fucking shit on the internet. So what's the difference, except for, obviously the fact that you're in person at that point.
Yeah.
And you can't hide behind the keyboard, but,
I think I have the answer to that, why it's so uncomfortable and painful. And I'm going to use my buddy Tim. And again, mad respect for all of the veterans in this world that have served. It allows me to do what I do. I have tremendous respect for all of you guys. But the answer to what you're talking about, I think, and why people are so uncomfortable is because, one, they've not educated themselves, and that's okay. And they're around some people that are very educated. But more than that, is there's always the fucking threat tactic. There's always, you're going to pay sanctions, Steve, because you're an asshole. And, you know, all of those things. My buddy Tim went through that, right? So twice in that case, he called me. And again, keep the context here. A dude that served two tours is calling me saying, "Oh, bro, Pronka told me from Experian that I'm going to have to pay $19,000, you know," and I'm giggling. And I said, "Okay, bro, you've done good. I know how to get to the male ego a little bit too, bro, especially with friends that have served. Yeah, you've done good, bro. No harm, no foul. Tomorrow morning, I'll file a motion to dismiss, man. You did a great fucking thing here, Tim." Now I'm batting him on the back. And, well, fuck that. No, well, if you believe him, man, if you believe that you're going to have to pay the 19 grand, I get it. I 100% get it. You've not been here. I'm just telling you, this is from my experience. Here's what I've done. I've never seen anybody pay that 19 grand or anything for that matter. You know, but if you've been, no, fuck that, we're going to go. Guess what? Experian paid him. You know, he didn't pay 19 grand. They had paid him by the end of it. That happened twice. USAA was another one. God love them. Oh. You know, that's built for veterans too. And it's in San Antonio, Texas. And they were a formidable opponent, man. I'll give them that. But me and this little vixen there, we had a freaking battle, man. And she pulled out all the stops. But I think that's the biggest thing, is they're so fearful that they're going to have to pay because they've been told that. I know this from, again, I'm going to be 56 next week. All your life is like, oh man, you go to court, you're going to have to pay. They're going to go for attorney's fees. They threaten it all the time. No doubt about that.
Right.
And if you brought a frivolous case forward, you should be fucking penalized. But if you've built it or you're defending it, not a worry in the world, you know? So people have been so programmed that if you go to court, you're going to have to pay the other side's attorney's fees and all of that other shit. And they'll tell you that all the time. Wrong answer. Not at all. I've never paid 10 cents to an attorney for any kind of sanctions. Never will, that I knock on wood, you know? So I think that's the biggest thing is people are so intimidated by the whole process, you know? And it's uncut. My wife, God love her, 33 years, she's in the other room. That's not her environment. She would rather have her toenails pulled out than go to court, you know? So there was a funny thing here. It wasn't funny at the time. She has a first cousin, he's special needs. And now I'm taking care of that estate to take care of that 68-year-old special needs person. But at the time, if you've dealt with he's 68, he's got a mentality of like a 15-year-old. I'm administering his case, or his mom and dad's trust, who, God love them, are both gone now. But he doesn't understand. It's like a little kid. Mom and dad are dead. Give me my fucking money. Right. That ain't gonna happen, bro. You know, I'm gonna follow every word in this trust document that they wanted. You know, all these things. Well, it got really contentious there for a while, right? So this is wife's first cousin. You know, well, now he's calling mother-in-law and telling mother-in-law he's going to do this and that to my wife and I and so forth. Well, I put a fucking restraining order on his ass like that. I mean, I can fire the keyboard up and be in the court in 10 seconds from now, you know, so just learn. So I learned on how to file a restraining order. That led to us getting in front of the judge. My wife went with me. Brian's there. I'm there. Judge Elkins is over there. We're talking about what's going on. And the judge says, "Mr. Kimbrough, do you have any witnesses?" And I'm like, the light bulb goes off right then. And I know my wife's probably sitting back, oh my God, no. So I'd like to call Lisa Kimbrough, Your Honor. So she has to go up there, be sworn in. She's looking at me like, dude, I'd love to kill you right now, because it's not her environment. You know,
Right.
So I've asked her, Miss Kimbrough, do you, this is my wife, do you ever feel threatened? Did you feel threatened when he was calling your mother and making these comments? Blah, 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 blah. I went through 10 questions, and then the judge starts asking her questions, and then back to me again, you know, so she gets excused. But I mean, I understand that firsthand, that environment is not for most people, most meaning a very high percentage of people. If you go in there, I just did battle. Did you see that latest video that Brandon put out where I did a hearing in Kokomo?
I might have I saw you got, I don't know, is it the one, it's not the one where you guys just had a 3-hour conversation video? Was that the one?
No, I did a hearing last June 30th, so last week.
Oh, okay.
in here in Howard County.
No,
And
I don't think I saw that one.
yeah, so I Brandon put that on his page, and I literally gave him the entire hearings in front of Judge Murray. So you could
Was that
swear me in.
about the property tax thing?
That's not it. That's another one going on. Yeah, so
Okay.
I'm doing battle with them right now, waiting on a decision. But the case last week was me suing again, back to the plaintiff's role. Here, I've got to build the evidence. I've got to do a really good job there because I know what's coming. It was breach of contract, fiduciary duties, and fraud. So long story short is they closed my account, gave me an in-kind distribution for a rather large amount, and I didn't ask for that. And it was all because I didn't pay the annual fee. So they're painting me as this bad person when you didn't follow the contract. So I knew what the evidence said. I knew how I was performing, and their own evidence said that too, right? So 2019, 2023, Mr. Kimbrough didn't do it either, but yet he paid. No fucking shit. If you send me something in the mail, which is what our contract says, then I perform every time. It's because I became a pain in the ass and you just didn't want to deal with me anymore. So they sent an email, which is not what our agreement says. So anyway, they flew in from Chicago a 40-year attorney named Peter Rush and a 28-year attorney, I believe, from New Jersey named Michael Slocum. They spent a lot of fucking money to come into little Howard County to go against the little pro se litigant like me. So I appreciate that. I know they spent probably tens of thousands of bucks just to not get here and travel, but also to defend this and the various things. But when you get into a case like that becomes contentious, they've had a motion to compel a supervised deposition of me because when they got me in federal, so I filed this, and then I filed a motion for default judgment, and they filed it immediately and removed it to federal court. So I fought in federal court for 10 months and made them look like dumbasses and got it remanded back to Howard County, which is where it should have never left. They were playing a game thinking I was like every other pro se litigant and they were going to be able to steamroll me and take me down there and do work. Quite honestly, I love federal court more than I do state court, but I'm not going to let you own that. I'm going to have to smack you on the ass and say, no, we're going to go back here because daddy knows better. So these are the whole guy. It's the arrogance around this with these guys and stuff too. So there was a lot of that back and forth. And this is stuff that people just don't understand or don't enjoy or want to be a part of. So getting it back here, they wanted it. So in the process, when I was in federal, actually today's date last year, July 8th last year, they deposed me on this very screen that I'm talking to you on right now. And if you saw that, Steve, this is a 28-year veteran attorney that I almost had him in tears. And I'm not saying that because I'm Barney Badass or just this masterful litigant. I'm saying I answered his questions in the way that he was pissed to. So, Mr. Kimbrough, is this your signature? Well, I don't know, Mr. Slocum. It sure looks like it, but I can't really be for sure. They want me to say yes. I'm never going to say yes, bro. You're going to have to kill me to say yes.
Right.
That's not going to happen. Did you sign this agreement? I don't know. With AI and anymore, oh my God, I can't. But before I would answer anything, I had this, I don't have it laying here, but I had this whole scripted objection, and it was about a page long. Pursuant to Rule of Evidence 901, which talks about authentication, I can't. So he was like, "Can we please dispense with the objection?" No, I'm not going to do that, Mr. Slow. Well, can we just have a standing objection? So he's wanting to control it, right? I'm a control freak too, bro. We're not going to get very far if we're going to keep trying to control each other. So he got so fired up at one point. I said, listen, if you don't agree with what I'm doing, let's get the magistrate here. Let's tap him in. Let's have that conversation. That's really what fucked him because he said no. Well, we need to get this thing going, Mr. Kimbrough. I said, I've got all the time in the world, Mr. Slocum. I'm good. We're in a hurry. And they really, belabored that too, that I said that. Well, I do. Dude, I'm retired. I don't have anything to do. And I offered bringing in, which is the procedural right thing to do, bring in the magistrate and let's get these issues resolved between us. Well, when we left, they filed a motion to compel a supervised deposition of me. They want somebody there to make sure I don't get out of line again. I don't care. I don't give a fuck if Santa Claus is there. He can put coal in my stocking if he doesn't like what I'm doing. So it's like, I don't care who's there. I'm still going to act the same way. That's there to intimidate. So that's what the hearing was about, that, and they filed a motion for summary judgment, meaning everything, we don't need to go any further. They have enough presented to the court that the court can rule. No, you don't. So I created all kinds of responses in opposition. I showed where, I think I did a masterful job answering a 40-year and a 28-year, attorney's bullshit. And I presented it that way too. You would hear in that hearing for an hour and some change. The judge really, Mr. Kimbrough, did you get the $168,000? I don't know, Your Honor. I really don't want to answer that because I don't know if it's the exact, But anyway, she's doing that, trying to help them, because the money, the amount and all of that has no bearing. That's not why we're there.
Right.
We're there because they said that I requested something that I didn't. Now I have tax consequences potentially over this and all of this other shit that I shouldn't have to live with, So anyway, I enjoy that. But here's what comes behind that most people will suspect. The 40-year attorney sends me a shittygram yesterday. Here it is. On June 29th, the filing of its third and fourth pages contained blah, blah, blah. These are patently false representations which you knew to be false when you signed them. K&L Gates in Chicago has been located at 70 West Madison Street in Chicago, not 77 West Wacker Drive, blah, blah, blah. Withdraw this false filing before July 17th to avoid a motion for sanctions. But you found him, bro. I'm not the guy that's easily intimidated. So you can imagine the response he got yesterday.
Right.
I fixed the court filing. You're right. My God. Let me fix it. I filed a notice of errata is what it's called, fixing the address thing there. But they'll make a mountain out of them. This is the 40-year attorney, out of a molehill that doesn't matter to shit. They're wanting me to get rid of that filing because they know it's the kiss of death. It's the nail in their coffin. It's all of that shit. So I fixed it, and then I sent him a whammygram, a 4-pager. Hey, go fuck yourself, Mr. Rush. This is twice now you've threatened me. You threatened me in the blah blah blah. That's what comes behind this. And I'm purposely centering on this because when you have the facts and the evidence and it looks like they have no other way out, that's the first thing they start doing is threatening you. Sanctions. They did that when I first filed that case. If you pull this by July 11th, that was 2024 or something, we won't go after fees. Well, bro, let me tell you a little secret. I wouldn't have filed this fucking case if I was worried about your fees. So we can dispense with that right now. And when they find they don't have somebody that they can intimidate, and dude, if you hear that hearing, if you ever do, you'll hear me as the most respectful motherfucker on this planet. Judge Murray, yes, ma'am, Your Honor. Counsel said that, I'm just that way. And if you do a side-by-side of how I've sent them correspondence over the years, specifically when we were in federal court. Hey guys, you fucked up and these rules right here, you're not following. Local Rule 81-2 clearly says that you have to have a working complaint that's included with this and you don't. So I'm telling them these things that they know that are mandatory. And if you look at our rules in Indiana or federal court's rules, the law includes the rules of the court. So if you're not following the fucking rules, due process isn't happening and you're violating the law. So if you saw what I sent him yesterday, which is, hey, these 2 safe harbor notices I sent you guys last year, clearly outlining when the rules were violated. I'm the most respectful dude in the world, Steve. Hey guys, hope all's well. Hope this finds you well. Hey, just wanted to run this by you. And in closing, I'll say, if there's a meet and confer that's needed, man, feel free to give me a call. And I mean that because this is how it happens. You want to guess how many times they called me?
Fucking 0, of course.
So, but they'll threaten, oh my God, for a little address difference, the world is ending. When I'm literally showing you're violating the law. And I'm doing it very respectfully, by the way. And you ignored me and said, go fuck yourself, pound sand, didn't ever respond.
Mm-hmm.
So the biggest thing with that and any other things is if you get in that arena and if you don't understand what you're doing, and I think this intimidates a lot of people too, is you can hurt the rest of us with your dumb shit when you get in there. Because if you get smoked, it can be used as persuasive authority, even if it's not case law. And what I mean by that is if Steve does some dumb shit and gets smoked, and then I bring the same claims in his court in Indiana, they're going to use that as persuasive authority to be able to stamp out my claims if they look very similar to his. So that's one thing. The other thing on the other side of this, none of us do enough of, is we bitch about the attorneys, we bitch about the judges, and we don't do shit about it. I just filed one complaint. I'm big on that. This is 3.0 Joey here right now. Plaintiff, defendant, I'm doing very well in those. The next is hold these fuckers accountable. So this is from the Disciplinary Commission in the state of Indiana, the Supreme Court. Dear Charlie William Gordon, I'm closing a copy of a grievance filed against you with the Disciplinary Commission by Joey Kimbrough. This is a demand for a written response. Those are nice words to hear in my ears. You are required to provide a written response to this office within 30 days of the date of the receipt of this letter. That is badass. That's me fucking kicking an attorney in the nuts. When you have Adria Mehring, the executive director of the Supreme Court of Indiana, sending letters because you fucking properly filed a grievance against one of the attorneys. This dude was suspended from practicing law in the state of Indiana on July 1st of 2024. That's the level of research that I do. And it's not hard, by the way. You just got to go look at the role of attorneys in Indiana, look them up, and you'll see if they're, able to perform or not. But I did that. I filed, people just won't take the time, and it'll help you. It'll help everybody else in our great state of Indiana if we start holding these guys accountable. I did the same thing with the judge. I gave him the opportunity, and this is the funniest thing. He filed an order on the docket and said, Mr. Kimbrough has sent this to my chambers and it's ex parte communication. Fuck you. It's not anything to do with the merits of the case, Your Honor. It's to do, I'm giving you a solid here and telling you I'm getting ready to send a complaint to the judiciary. If you want to save that go ahead, share it with everybody.
Right.
So we've got to do a better job when we get in that environment, holding these guys accountable. People will say that it's rigged, it's a scam, they're Masons. Well, I'm a Mason. It's not a scam. They do dumb shit. They bend the law. If you don't know it, shame on you. And we have to hold them accountable. That's the key, is people will bitch about it and they don't do anything. Just like the property taxes you brought up. Oh my God, man. People bitch about property taxes. You get these every fucking year, bro. I know you do. You even know what color before I even hold it up at you. You get that? That's a saying, hey, Steve, you owe us more money, bro.
Right.
And people bitch. But here's the thing. It says on the very front, right at the top, right here, appeal deadline, June 15th. You want to know how many people probably appeal these things?
Absolutely nobody.
Yeah. So when I get in there, I went through that process last year for my mother-in-law's condo and our house here. Both of them are irrevocable trusts. I filed the appeals. It goes before the local Howard County, it's called PETA-BOA board, Property Tax Assessment Board, whatever the acronym means. Mindy Hetty is our assessor. She's sitting down there. She's got her whole board of people, and I come in there, and then they try to convince me that they're doing great things. Wrong guy. I'm here because it's not that I don't want to pay property taxes. I don't want to get that wrong, because a lot of people think that's the reason why. I don't like the fact that if I don't pay the property taxes, everything I've worked my entire life for is gone, and it's at a sheriff's sale next year, 2 years from now. And that's the reality of it. So the more you keep hiking it up with no justification, the more I get fired up. So that one there was a 17% hike in my mother-in-law's and a 22% hike in ours. And if you live in the state of Indiana, this is going to ring true to you. You're going to know, holy shit, yeah, we've had some huge hikes here lately. So I appealed them. I went before the board. Well, I know if Mindy Hetty is the head of the board, and God love her, I'm not talking shit about her. Me and her husband are friends. Worked together a million years. But if she's the one that's controlling this local board and I'm asking her to override the dumb shit she's done, I already know what's going to happen there.
Right.
So what she did is then she files I think it's a form 115 that says no change, basically fuck off. Well, then from there you file a form, I think it's 130, and I may be getting these wrong. A form 130, I believe it is, with the state of Indiana. And now you go before the Indiana Board of Tax Review, IBTR. So I did that. And then that leads to an administrative hearing where if you look up, what's her name? Daleen McMillan. She's not a fucking lawyer. She's not at all affiliated with them. But when you come in, bro, they'll have you swear in. It's a Zoom call. It's like this, but you'll swear in. And it's just all a theater to make you think you're in a real court of law. So when I'm talking to Nick Brady, the attorney for Howard County, I'm like, look, bro, I just want to tell you one thing. We're fighting over $346 annually.
Right.
Howard County is going to spend tens of thousands of dollars to defeat little old me again. Over $346.
Right.
But it's the principle of
Egos.
it's him saying, well, we just want to make sure everything's right. No, you don't, bro. You want the billables, and Howard County just wants to be able to crack me for more and more and more and more. So I'm just telling you, I know this is an administrative court. It's not even a court. It's an administrative tribunal. And if I get a decision that's not in my favor, which here's the thing that I offered, Steve, according to Indiana law, if they can't prove the hike, anything above 5%, they have to prove. If she just keep it at 5 or under, I can't say a word. I mean, I could, but it wouldn't do me much good. So when they make a drastic hike, they have to have real numbers and all of that stuff. The evidence that I was talking about, their evidence consisted of a local gal named Amy Teal, who I fucking filleted whenever we were doing the cross-examination. If you listen, that's another one that Brandon put it out on in that hearing. You can hear me talking in there and cross-examining. And Miss Teal, you said assumptions, hypotheticals, and speculative. Those are three things that go against Indiana Supreme Court decision, which said it has to be objective data. Assumptions, hypotheticals, and speculation. I just kept driving that fact home. Did you come inside either one of the homes? No, I didn't. Well, how did you know we don't have disco balls hanging up and green shag carpet? You don't know what the state of the inside of the house is. You just did a drive-by while you might have been smoking a lefty. I don't know what you were doing, but you came up with some fucking figure that was $45,000 above what it probably should be. I paid $126K for this house and 16 years ago. Now they're saying it's worth $245 or something crazy like that. So I've not benefited in those hikes at all because I haven't sold.
Right.
But the Howard County sure is. So yeah, I got that little fight going on with the state of Indiana right now. But to my point is Nick Brady, the attorney for Howard County, I said, look, the moment that I get a determination that's not in my favor, I'm filing with the Indiana tax court. We're going to real court then. We're going to have depositions. We're going to have discovery. We're going to have all of those things. That's going to cost Howard County even more money. And if I can do this, my DMs are going to fill up with people from the state of Indiana that are going to say, hey, bro, teach me how to do this. I already know that.
Right.
Because it's very real what I'm doing. So, if I go to that next court, this one here, I gave them the opportunity. And like I was going to say, Indiana law says that you have to go back to the prior year if you can't prove it. Well, it would take my thing back 40 something thousand dollars, the hike that they did going back the previous year. If we get into real big boy court, my request for relief is going to change drastically. It's going to be take it off the fucking tax rolls. I don't ever want to see this property taxed again. You guys have committed fraud. You've done all of this stuff. At this point, I gave you every opportunity to go back to what the law says is supposed to happen. You didn't take that. I gave them settlement demands and they just blew them off. So we'll wait for the decision and we'll see what happens, So, um, those are the things that I do in my free time is just if I'm a plaintiff and those kind of things, I'm building evidence that would be hard for most people to fathom because I'm never going to go in there riding dirty. I'm not going to go in there like most people and just, well, you charged me too much money and I think it's bullshit and you're all Masons,
Right.
Like, no,
That doesn't hold up.
no, it doesn't hold up, bro. So I mean, I can share some of that stuff with you if you want. I mean, I can show you some of this stuff that might resonate. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I want more people to know this shit because, like you're talking about, I think one of the big things is just the fear of lack of knowledge. But when you just stand back, and that's why this all, like I was saying before with you when I asked you about coming on here, because it does so much with mindset work, with mental stuff, because you have to be in a good place to be able to like not spiral like you're making the fucking other councils do, just to objectively look at this shit and say, okay, well, this is what it fucking says. So why are you not following that? And that's really all it comes down to is this is what it says. You're not following this. So follow it. And that's it. But like you were saying earlier too, people have come to believe something about the courts that they're not and about attorneys that they're not.
Yeah.
Because it's just been beaten into us throughout our lives that, there's no, I mean, how many times have you heard that fucking, you can't fight City Hall?
Yeah.
Fuck off with that.
Ironically, I've fought in City Hall a lot of times.
Right. And Brandon's currently fucking fighting City Hall, literally.
No shit. Yeah. So I've sued Howard County. I've sued the city of Kokomo. And the irony is I've been this community's business of the year before. I've been twice nominated as the business person of the year. That's not me patting myself on the back. But if somebody is going to pick up the torch and take these fuckers on, like you said, I think that would be a guy that looks a lot like me. That's been there, that's been hailed and all of that stuff. If I didn't do that, I'm not doing any service to either one of those things. So, I think, most people. Another thing with what you said about the city hall, that's so funny. The reason it's funny is because it's so true. But you hear some of the folks before you and I, like my mother-in-law, she's the one I always pick on. She's from Brooklyn. You'll hear that generation before us, which is programming you and I, by the way. Well, such and such was sue happy. All they wanted to do was sue and sue and sue. Fuck, dude, suing is the best thing in the world you can do. And I'm saying that I hope I never go in a court of law in the rest of my life. But if you and I have a problem and we can't work it out, and I've told you like 3 times, Steve, man, you're being an asshole, bro, and you can call me and say, fuck you, no, I'm not, and blah, blah, blah. At some point, if you and I don't reach resolution, we only have one option. We can go mediation. We can do some ADR stuff, dispute resolution, alternative dispute resolution, mediation and arbitration. I just did mediation last week with Amex. I offered them a deal of a lifetime. They came back and said, just pay us $6,000 and we'll be friends. And I said, fuck you. I've been fighting with you guys for going on 5 years now in Indiana State Court. So no, I'm not, but so many people have painted litigation as something that's horrible. And it's not. If we can't reach a resolution, you and I are going to be a lot less pissed at each other if we just rip the Band-Aid off. A judge says, you know what? No, Joey, Steve is right. You're an asshole. Fuck you. Do this. I may not like it. And here's what I say. A lot of times, if you go into a successful negotiation, if you both walk out and you're pissed off, it was good. If one guy's clicking his heels and laughing and everything, and the other guy's just down and out, that's not a very good negotiation. So anytime I go into one, this is the used car dealer coming out in me. is both parties, and especially when there's civil tort involved, better walk away and be a little bit pissed off because they didn't get the deal they thought they were going to get, kind of thing. So just to paint litigation as bad because somebody got sue happy, good for the person that wanted to stick up for themselves. But here's what I would say. The caveat is I'm not going to go out and sue everybody for dumb shit. I could go out right now, and this will play near and dear to you, and maybe somebody will listen and maybe want to take this on. I think it's 1 USC 4. I can't remember. It's the one talking about Old Glory, our United States flag.
Mm-hmm.
And it tells you very specifically there in federal law what has to happen. And I'm going to let you guess whenever I'm saying this, if it does happen. You drive by restaurants, they're supposed to lower that flag at night. You know this. Or they're supposed to have a light shining on the motherfucker.
Exactly.
So, and I'll promise you that neither one of those things happen. So I have a federal statute. I have a fucking violation. I have friends. I have Steve McHale that's fucking gonna jump off a building if he sees one more fucking Old Glory that we're not respecting.
Right.
You know, so if I fired off that, if I wanted to be that guy, I'd fire that letter off to every one of these businesses and say, you've got 10 days to fix this. I've got a federal statute behind me. I can come up with some damages on that. Like I said, my buddy Steve, I've had to talk him off the building 3 times now. He's going crazy. You know, whatever. We all have people that have served. That truly, it's not as impactful to me maybe as it is for others. And I respect that and I realize that. And that's why I'm saying this. So if those businesses don't perform and say, I'm not going to do anything and just ignore it, then 10 days, 11 days later, I gave them 10. I send a notice of intent to sue and I say, look, we're going to go after damages on behalf of, let's just call it whatever, Federal Rights LLC, whatever. And now go crack them for 10 racks, you know, because they violated you gave them the opportunity to cure. They said, go fuck yourself. You send a notice of intent to sue, which that's what the judge wants to see. You know, you could do that with your neighbors too, by the way. Those same things pertain to them as well. I walk around my neighborhood all day, every day. There's 15 flags out here.
Right.
There's maybe 3 that they're following none of them come down at night.
And probably never get half-masted because nobody knows when they're supposed to fucking
you got it.
Yeah, there's so much to do with that shit. And, you know, that's honestly one of the reasons I don't fucking have mine out there is because that's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, bro. You know?
and I love the fucking flag.
Yes.
But there's also levels to it that it's just become so, it's just extra. Like, I almost loathe going to sporting events anymore just because of the fact that they have to play the fucking anthem every goddamn time.
Mm-hmm.
When did that fucking become a thing? When did we and I know I could look it up obviously because there was a point in time where it was not a fucking thing.
Yeah.
And then it became the biggest thing in the world. And I think I love the fucking national anthem. I love the fucking flag. I fought for it.
Mm-hmm.
You're bastardizing it. You are ruining what it fucking stands for by saying, oh, we can't play this fucking stupid sporting event until we fucking salute our fucking flag. It's just, and I can't think of the term that I really want to fucking use here, but it's just ignorant.
Yeah.
You're downplaying the beauty, like the essence of what it stands for by doing it so fucking much.
Yeah. Baseball, apple pie, and Chevrolet. That's what it used to be. And then somehow they tied in, Old Glory and sometimes,
it loses its reverence.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if they're bringing somebody out to sing the national anthem, God forbid that it's a Roseanne Barr that just hacks it up and makes everyone want to die.
Right.
But I've seen some events where I've been there, like at a Colts game, where they'll extend a flag that's the whole size of the field, with
Right.
military there, and they'll make it a big deal. Maybe it's around Veterans Day or whatever. That's cool.
Hmm.
That's pretty patriotic. I see it. It's cool. Do a flyover, the whole bit. And awesome. They
Right.
just did it at the 500 here, a few weeks ago. But yeah, I'm with you that it kind of gets watered down, the whole meaning and stuff. If it's,
Right.
yeah,
That's what I'm saying. Like it loses its reverence. It gets watered down. Like, and then it turns into the whole fucking uh nonsense of, well, fucking now we're kneeling for it, and then everybody. So it's just created more and more division
yeah,
over what was supposed to create fucking unity,
right.
and it's so disappointing to see that. And yeah, like I don't know. I'm not gonna.
But God forbid, then they start burning them out front and all kinds of other. It takes it to a whole new level of
Dude,
crazy. It's just like, how about we just leave that off to the side where it should be, and let's all respect it or not. It's your choice to not respect it.
right.
I can't be mad at you.
Yeah,
You know
you have the freedom to do that,
that
and
comes with it.
that's an unfortunate part of freedom, and that's
That's right.
what a lot of people don't understand either. Is like, well, not only that, but do you even understand how to retire a flag properly? Like,
Right.
there's a whole fucking thing about doing that.
That's
So,
right.
have you done that? Do you have your light on your flag? And when that one got tattered, did you take it down and fucking retire it properly? Or did you just
Exactly.
fucking throw it in the goddamn trash and put a new one? So,
Yeah.
and it's funny because this same shit all plays back into the fucking litigation shit. Like, play by the fucking rules. I mean, that's where, I mean, you started it with that. So
Well,
obviously,
dude, if I get beat because somebody's following the rules, so be it. I'll
hmm,
learn from that and I'll move on. If I'm getting beat because there's a whole system, and this is everybody's fear, I think, and this is rightfully so, that the cards are all stacked against me and I have somebody making decisions. This is completely real. And I would 100% agree with this, then that's not right. That's where you've got to start filing some grievances. You've got to grab your nutsack and you got to send this fucker an email. I did. He got 3 of them yesterday. I fixed the thing you said was fucked up. Now you don't have the call for sanctions. I then cracked him in his email response and says, "Don't do it again, bro. This is twice now. Don't make it a third." This is me talking to a 40-year attorney, but a very respectful 4 pages. And then the third one was, "Here's a settlement demand. Here's what I'm asking for." And it was a lot. It's going to get even bigger when there's 12 people that look like me sitting in the jury box, hearing me speak on facts and truth, and knowing and looking over and seeing a 40-year attorney, a 28-year attorney. It seems like everything put me in that environment. This is how I won Snap-on. The little fucker that I talked to there, I say little fucker, he was super respectful, 30 something years old. Joe Kern was his name. Anybody can look this up too, by the way. If you look at my cases, you'll see that I'm telling you everything's accurate. Joe Kern was the guy that really trained me, a Chicago badass attorney that was 30 something years old. We would get on the phone, and I wish everybody could hear that. At the end of that, we would have a respect for one another. In the middle there was a whoo, a whole lot of laughing, and you're not going to get that, Mr. Kimbrough, and you can't pierce that veil, and you can't do blah, 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 all the you can'ts, and that's okay. And then you'd hear me giggle and say, "Nah, I'm not interested." And, so they started out, "We're going to forgive what we think you owe us." And it was all over a tool, $7,500 tool that I turned in when I closed the, "Here you go. Here's your tool back. Thank you so much for." And then they wanted to crack me on my personal credit profile, saying I owed them $7,500. No, I don't. And what the fuck is a business line doing on my personal profile? That's a big no-no. And they were fucked right out of the box. It
hmm,
took me having to build that and explain it. But anyway, it started with, "Well, we're going to waive that. Then we're going to waive that and pay you 2,500. Then we're going to waive that and pay you $5,000. And I can't remember where it went after that, but we did a settlement conference. We went to the settlement conference, which is awesome. I learned everything in that case by just observing what was going on. And that's how I built my 1681 cases to this day and run the cohorts, is I just built what the attorneys were doing. I went into my district and I saw what they're doing, 15 USC 1681 cases, and I said, shit, those look good. These are the guys winning. I'm going to build all my shit based off what they're doing and just add my stuff into it. And then I just went and studied those cases. What were the motions they were filing? What were the notices? How did they handle this? And then when I went through it, it all made sense much more because I'd already been studying it. I'd been building it. I'd been disputing based off of it. And when I got that attorney sitting across the other side of the table, everything he said, I did the opposite and I was fine. And I'm not saying that disrespectfully. That's just the nature of the beast. If anybody watching this goes and reads one rule in Indiana or federal court or whatever state you're in, it's Rule of Evidence 301. 301 is all about presumptions. And I used to be as pissed off as everybody else about the courts and the horse shit until I understood that rule. When I tripped across that one, it changed everything for me. Because what is a presumption? A presumption, I call it a legal lie. And that's kind of half-hearted, but it's true. It literally tells you a presumption is made on the other party, and until you rebut it, it stands as fact and law. So it takes the burden of proof and it puts it on you. And if you don't answer that and rebut it, I'm going to let you guess how many people don't answer and rebut things when an attorney says stupid shit. So if they don't do that, what that attorney said becomes fact and law. And that's why people get beat and they don't understand 301. If you had understood one rule, I could give you any gold. That's it right there. Because, and I tell my people in my cohorts, when I'm teaching them, if an attorney says something, respond in opposition to it. I don't care what it is. Respond in opposition. And there's so many things now that you can build with AI agents and chat bots and stuff. And I build those for them that if you upload their document, the attorney's document into your chat bot and say, I would like to create a response in opposition, and you upload your rules for your court, it's going to base it off the rules and it's going to respond to all of their horse shit. Now, what happens there pursuant to 301? It switches the burden of proof back on them. So it says the presumption, it still lies with them. So that's how people get beat, is attorneys will start saying, and people will get in a pissing match and they don't understand what's going on. And that outlying thing that's going to get you killed, you haven't even addressed because you're so pissed at the guy and you're firing off emotional, stupid shit. That's why I flip it. And then I get them crazy emotional at me. I'm doing the exact same thing they are. When the dude had a meltdown in the deposition with me, it's like, perfect. 2.5 hours you just wasted there, bro. So yeah. People, if you would understand that one rule, you'll be successful there too. It's Rule of Evidence 301, and I can't stress how important that is. But that right there, it clicked for me, and I understood then this isn't that bad. Court's not so bad. Court's not bad if you understand that. You follow the rules. You can point out every time they're not following the rules. And when you do that procedural fucking warfare, then they'll say, oh, Indiana's always decided cases on the merits, Your Honor. So they'll flip back and forth. Whereas you're going down the middle the whole time, following the rules and, working on the merits because you've built things. So, yeah, I hope that resonates with some people because, man, it's super important. If you understand that, you'll understand why so many people get beat and why they think it's a scam and this, that, and the other. It's because you haven't responded. Respond in opposition to the attorneys and object to the court's order, preserving your rights for appellate review. If you do those two things right there, dude, you are a fucking force to be reckoned with in a court.